Hi, welcome to Clutter Bravado.
Yes, and it's the energy. It's not just about the stuff.
So we should probably just get into it, right?
Let's go. Good morning.
Oh, good morning. How are you?
I'm well.
Yeah,
I'm well. It's a beautiful Monday morning
it is.
here in Los Angeles.
It is.
Um,
How was your weekend?
well, so I don't know if I think I told you the story about why we started the space here is that obviously it was to show our furniture. That was
Sure.
first. But Kimberly and I, when we found this specific apartment, it was to create a place for our design community and our friends to come and get together. We had a store for a long time. I was really tired of sending emails, of not seeing anybody. So let me backtrack. When I first started, it was pre cell phone and all that stuff. And, we had designers that would come like twice, 3 times a day. We got to know them. We got to, know them, their kids. They would come in with their kids. We would have coffee. Life was a little different. There was somehow more time.
Sure.
As it evolved, we became better at sending photos, at sending emails, and people had less and less time to spend in your store to hunt. It was like, do you have that? And then as the offering became more and more, now it's worldwide with Instagram and, but it used to be, it became very quickly regional and then national through sites like First Dibs or InCollect. And, somehow we lost that personal touch.
Yeah.
We were sending emails. People would show up and like, I have 2 minutes and I have to go. Do you have something that's, like these? And I got, frustrated.
I feel like you've talked about that too with a few of our other guests.
Yeah.
How the showroom experience is really important because you need to have the tactile experience, touching something, sitting on something, and then also building the relationships with designers and
sharing, intellectually sharing, learning. It's like you anywhere I go, I'll learn about an artist or I'll learn, someone will tell me, did you see that new thing? There's always a nugget that makes you a little bit better.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that and you're, on Instagram and, or just calling someone, being like, hey, send me an email of what you have, you lose that. And so here was to create that.
Yeah.
Was to recreate that space where people can come, spend time, and really, really share passion, interest.
Yeah.
And so,
experience, exactly.
So a couple of weeks ago at dinner, unfortunately, you were in Wisconsin.
I know.
We had dinner here with Marion Murphy and Linda Murray and their respective others, and it was magical. And then on Saturday, you were here, and we had the most magical dinner.
I will say, I've been to a handful of events here, and this past Saturday was my favorite of all of them that I've been to.
Yeah.
It was such a perfect group of people. And I think one of the things that was most interesting about it was it wasn't just designers. It wasn't just people in the design space. Obviously, we had our gorgeous friend, Alexandra Pack, who I'm obsessed with. I want to be her best friend. She's so great. And we're going to absolutely have her on the show. But so she was here. But then it was a lot of people from different areas, different backgrounds, different passions, who knew so much, but about so many different things. It was so fun.
Yeah.
It was so fun. Hold on. You have to talk about the food you made.
Yeah, the Saturday was about as good as
you outdid yourself.
as I could make it. Yeah, I was really pleased with that. Oftentimes I criticize myself.
I was really pleased.
Because
are you kidding me?
Most nights I'm like, not enough salt, or I could have done that a little different.
No.
Saturday was good.
Oh,
was
okay.
fun.
So first off, I'm gonna paint the picture for everyone. I think that they need to hear it from me as a passionate eater, right? Like, I'm not a chef, but I eat, right? So, oysters first. You just brought out a platter of oysters. What were they called again?
The Kumamotos.
Yes, the Kumamotos. Oh, perfect. Absolutely perfect. Every single one of them, delicious. We all had enough. That's the other thing. Big group of us. You brought out so many oysters. And I don't think anyone was like we all had exactly the amount of oysters that we wanted to have. That's perfect. Okay. You have deviled eggs with salmon roe. Perfect. It's a staple.
Yeah, it's
you
a
have
staple.
that. You have that quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then another staple that you had. It's the chicken liver mousse.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is just the food that's out when we arrive. We get here, cocktails, have a seat. We're sitting around here talking, and then you just place that out here. Everyone instantly is like, whoa. Dinner begins. First, we have a salad. Scallop wakame salad. It was incredible. I don't know how else to. The scallops were cooked so perfectly, and you're just in the kitchen doing that. We're all like out here enjoying the little appetizers, little, what do you call them, hors d'oeuvres or whatever. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad at this.
It's so good. You're almost making me hungry again.
Oh no. I ate enough on Saturday for like several days. Holy moly. We're going to get through the dinner, but then I have to talk about the amazing surprise dessert, which was truly the best moment of the evening. But you also had, there was a steak.
Yeah, tenderloin, sous vide.
I didn't even know that you could really do that.
Yeah, it's special.
It was so funny because I was looking around and like you start serving steak and I'm like, do we need steak knives? And they're just butter knives on the table and you're like, no, you won't. And you didn't.
And you didn't.
Oh, they were incredible. The steak was incredible. And then you made an incredible dessert. So your dessert was the chocolate mousse, which again, it's one of your signature dishes.
Yeah.
It's
very,
perfect.
Very French, but very good. It's
very
always
French, really delicious. I was really impressed. But obviously dinner talk happens.
And the Madeleine.
Oh, we can't talk about the Madeleines.
Oh no, we have to talk about the Madeleines.
They're so good. It makes me mad at you. I think that I may have gotten actually angry.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. They're so good.
Just little pillows of love.
Just little pillows of love?
Just like warm and... So yeah, I make Madeleines fresh.
So good.
And that's one of my favorite things to do.
They're incredible. However... Okay, so let me paint this picture. We're all sitting around the dinner table. There's like a handful of us. I don't think that I'm going to say the person's name because I do hope that they come on the show and I want them to like later identify themselves. We were sort of going around the table talking about our comfort foods or like foods that we really love to make. And I happened to mention one of my comfort foods, which I'm putting this out to the world now.
Oh boy.
I know.
It's on a podcast.
It's going to hurt your heart.
Oh.
No one can know about this.
Everybody's going to know.
Everyone's going to know.
Good.
A McDonald's hot fudge sundae.
Wait.
Stop. A McDonald's hot fudge sundae.
She said it.
I said it.
She said it.
They have never changed. It has been the exact same my entire life.
It's all chemicals.
I know.
They can't change.
I need that kind of consistency, though. And if that consistency can only come through only artificial ingredients, I'll take it. I love, and it's not something that I do often, but when I'm having a bad day and I need something that just feels like home, I will have a McDonald's hot fudge sundae. Now, I did mention when I was talking about this that one of the reasons I don't get it anymore is because the price is so inflated right now that it just doesn't feel like a good decision at all. It's always a bad decision, but when it's $1.79 bad decision, it's like, it's fine. That's change that I have in my car. So as we were talking about this, like during dinner, at one point there's a knock at the door
that I don't even hear. Like I don't even hear the knock. And
I just see one of the guests of the dinner just walks off away from the table for a moment and comes back with a delivery bag from McDonald's. They ordered McDonald's hot fudge sundaes.
That came perfectly timed too, which was very funny perfectly timed for dessert.
It could not have been more perfect.
I know.
And the look on your face, you were so upset that this had happened.
I know. I thought it was really funny.
It was funny.
It was
funny.
just like so surprising because I didn't expect it. I didn't hear the door. And then I have a bag of McDonald's on the table. And I'm like, how did that happen? It was just very fun.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. Truly, like such an incredible move by one of the people that came to the party. I laughed so hard. I like walked it. I needed to walk out of the room for a second. I was like, this cannot be real that you just ordered McDonald's hot fudge sundaes to this gorgeous dinner. But then the part that did upset you was that I made eye contact with you and dipped a Madeleine in the hot fudge sundae.
I think I blocked it out of my mind. Now that you remind me of it, you did that.
I've seen you a little angry before. And I think your eyes just turned to flames.
It was just a very
If
funny
you've ever
moment.
wondered how to really piss off a French chef, eat McDonald's at his dinner table.
With homemade Madeleine. Thank you very much. I have reasons.
I will say, in contrast to everything else that I ate that day, it didn't hit the same.
Thank you for not being like, that was the best part of the dinner.
The best part of the dinner was the McDonald's hot fudge sundae. No, it didn't hit the same. Your desserts were better.
Okay. I took a bite. I tried it. I can't.
In contrast, trash. It is I know it's trash. I'm not deluding myself to believe that this is in any way like
I thought that maybe
a culinary accomplishment of anyone's. The only thing that I'm always impressed by is its consistency, that it's always the same.
Right.
You know, exact same amount of everything. It is I know what to expect.
But next time we're at the dinner party like that and you want to talk about comfort food with guests, just at least do like, I don't know, what's that ice cream shop on Larchmont?
Jenny's.
You know,
or Salt and Straw.
Or Salt and Straw. You know, that if someone is going to just buy
so if they bring it, then they bring a better one.
Yeah.
That's manipulative.
I'm
here to tell the truth.
But not about McDonald's.
But truly, anyway, long story short, Saturday was literally the best.
Yeah,
it was the best.
And so I woke up. And so now it's twofold. Yesterday I woke up, I had a ton of energy. It just made me realize how lucky we are to get together with people, how lucky I am to be able to cook for such talented people in and out. And I think I'd kind of forgotten because yesterday I was looking back at how lucky I am. And dinner on Saturday was special. And you know, I can't put my finger, I mean, it's like the group was perfect. But I remember now, like all those people that, you know, the dinner that I had with Linda and it was fun. It's like they're creative, they're smart, they're passionate.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just so grateful. So thank you for the design community who comes here and makes me a better guy.
I really love that.
It felt that way yesterday.
Yeah.
I felt it so much. It was like weird.
I love that you're able to be in the gratitude of that and like to sort of bask in that experience, because none of that would have been possible without the amount of work that you put in.
Yeah, but I get that, but that work is maybe my way of saying thank you. But the podcast that we've had, we make lunch, you know, and you know, all the people that we've had, they're busy. They have a busy schedule, and they take that hour to be with us to, you know, experience like a little bit of a French lunch. Yeah. And it's fun. I am just, so it put me in like a really, really grateful, thankful mood for people who take the time to come here and spend time with us. And
That's so good.
It was really fun.
I love that. Can I say something that I'm grateful for as well? Besides you, obviously, because there are so many things that are happening in my life right now that are directly related to working on this, to working with you, working with a couple other designers. I mean, it's really incredible. So I'm wearing a jacket right now.
And it looks really good.
And it looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
We have our first sponsor. We're not going to go into it too much just yet, but I just want to tease it. This jacket by L'Agence. That's how you pronounce it, right?
Yes.
I'm so obsessed. I've never felt so cute in clothes before, and like elegant in any specific brand. And so of all of them, I'm so excited that we get to work with this one. Again, I'll go into it more, but like I had to show off at least the jacket today. It's so cute, right?
It really is.
The color is amazing. It's so comfortable. I feel like it fits really well.
It fits perfect.
I'm so into it. So anyway, over the next few episodes, we're going to probably talk about it a little bit more, and especially just like follow Instagram, because I'll be posting. We are going to an event on Wednesday.
Yeah. So by the time this podcast hits.
So the day after.
The day after. So it'll be October 9th.
9th.
Because October 10th.
The day before my birthday. The day before my birthday. You mean October 9th? Meaning that my birthday is on 10/10? Because she's at 10 out of 10.
So on October 9th.
October 9th. Yeah. How about, do you want to talk about it? I can talk about it.
Good.
Okay.
Please do.
So we're going to the Pacific Design Center for the fall market for 2024. I am very excited about it. There are a bunch of panels, discussions that I don't want to miss. So we've had Thomas Lavin on our podcast. We'll be putting out his episode next week, and I'm really excited about that. For what we've been sort of working on, I feel like the panel that he has coming up is going to be rad. Also, Jamie Rummerfield, who we had on our podcast as our second guest. Save Iconic Architecture. They're doing is it a panel discussion or is it?
A panel discussion.
Yeah, a panel discussion about the Euler House. So it's a Neutra, one of the Neutra houses, and going into the history of it. And I'm really excited about that. And then one of your friends is also going to be on a panel.
Well, Martin is going to be on. I know that Martin is going to be on a panel, so that's we're gonna go listen to him because it's always so much fun.
I haven't met him yet.
You have not?
I don't think so.
Oh my God. Okay.
I'm really excited to actually.
Yes.
I've heard so much about him, and also I've looked through his book, and it's wild, and I'm really excited to like connect with him.
So we're gonna go and be with Thomas and go visit all of our friends and. Hopefully it'll be well attended and supporting our design community at the PDC.
Yeah.
I think it's that one day during the fall where it's fun to be there.
I am really excited. I know I mentioned this on the last episode too, but there's so many things that I learn every time that I go there, and it's also a great place to be inspired. You gather so much inspiration when you go through there at all, especially for these events.
Right.
And I also had the opportunity to meet like a couple of my like favorite designers that don't live in the Los Angeles area. For like the spring market, I had the opportunity to, and that was it. There's something that's like that's really great because it brings people together who are all in the same industry, interested in the same things. And it's just such a great way of exchanging ideas and also building that network that you were talking about. That's so valuable.
Yeah. And I think that, anytime we all can be in the same space and talk and meet, I think it's valuable.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to being there for sure with you.
Yeah. And I'll be wearing L'Agence. I'm so excited because the outfit that I'm going to wear too is so cute. I mean, I describe everything that I like as cute, but like head to toe, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited.
It's so a little bit of a teaser, but we went to try them and I mean, you went. I was with you.
Yeah.
And you look so elegant. It's just like, it was just a perfect fit and elegant, and the colors are right, and they could not have been nicer
They
and
could
kinder.
not have been nicer. Everyone who was there was so, like, I'm so worried about shopping ever. I've talked to you a little bit about this because I was very trepidatious when it came to going to like the fitting and trying on some of the clothes, because I come from a modeling background, and when I was modeling, I was not modeling at like my current measurements. I'm going to say that in the most delicate way possible. And so like as I change and as I sort of, like age, yes, it's happening, whatever. When I go shopping, being a nearly 6'1" woman, with curves in some places and none in others, it's odd. It is odd to go shopping and to try clothes on because sometimes things are just not made for my body. And we walked in there and I tried on these clothes and I was in the dressing room a couple of times where I was just like, like I had my Princess Diaries moment. I'm referencing a lot of things. You have no idea what I'm talking about.
Don't make me watch it either. I'm not gonna watch it.
I had my Princess Diaries moment where I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm pretty. I'm like, I look elegant in these things. I felt like there's something that made me feel really like special, and almost as if I had stepped into a version of myself that I had been holding myself back from for a long time. Does that make sense?
It does.
And it's funny how just well-made clothes can make you feel that way.
So thank you, L'Agence.
Yeah. Thank you, L'Agence. We'll be talking a lot more about it.
We'll do.
Yeah. But in the meantime, I had to just throw on the jacket today. And the whole suit would be up all over our Instagram. So yeah. Anyway, we should probably get to our episode this week.
Yes.
So we had Edel Legaspi. I love Edel, by the way. We have met a few times at parties here and sort of other design events, and I've met her with her husband Chris, and just a wonderful, bright, sunny, like delightful person. She's so smart.
So they are, so Edel and Chris, they are just fantastic.
Yeah.
And Edel is talented, smart, just nice as can be, and so it's and supportive. I said podcast. She's like, yep, and she loves you, and so I'm excited. She's amazing.
Yeah, she's a pleasure to have on. So
And we'll have Chris later on.
Yeah.
I know.
All right. So should we get to it?
Let's go.
Hi, welcome to Clutter Bravado. We are here with Edel Legaspi, who's been featured in Architectural Digest, in Elle Decor.
Modern luxury.
Oh, yes. It's so good. And then you were also the vice president of the AAPI Design Alliance.
Yes.
And I'm so curious to learn more about that. So tell me a little bit about how you got started. Where did it begin?
How did I get started? Okay, well, I was born in the Philippines, and my family came here the mid-'80s, and I grew up in Los Angeles pretty much. Went to school here and went to architecture school at Woodbury University. And from there, I worked at, a couple different interior design firms and architecture firms. I really got started in learning about interior design really when I worked at Kelly Wearstler's office. From the very beginning, the early days of Kelly Wearstler's office. And that's kind of how I got introduced to, setting the path for me to be in interior design.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what was the experience working with Kelly Wearstler? Tell me about that. Like, were you really inspired? Were you intimidated? Were you was this at the beginning of the career?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really exciting. I was super young, and it was also the time when her firm was super young. So everything was, kind of scrappy. It's like small boutique size firm. I think there was 10 people.
Oh, wow.
And so it was really inspiring to work with a lot of different designers and architects and graphic designers in the studio, and also just learning the whole process of doing a project. And it was inspiring because I think people now know her as a brand.
Yeah.
But I think at that time, you know, she was just super hyper creative, and again was really you know, just resourceful. You know, we would take like antiques and vintage things and like repurpose them in a way that's fresh. And you know, I don't think at that time people were being very bold, you know, in that sense. Or maybe that was the time that everyone was doing more like Regency and color and mixing periods of styles. So I think that was super inspiring. And just again, like mixing high and low and just making it look beautiful. I think that was really what she's really great at. You know? Yeah.
And also starting off your career, like working with women too, especially in this industry, must have been like a really
for sure
inspiring way to start, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because, you know, to have your own business as a woman, and especially doing the projects that she was starting at the time, especially like hotel jobs, you know, those are a bunch of corporate suit guys, right? And so you kind of have to have the confidence to really sell your idea and, you know, be 100% sure of what you're trying to present. So I think, definitely inspiring to see somebody, you know, in that level of their career to just go for it.
Yeah. What were some early, like, besides you said that, like working with like the men in suits and having to have the confidence, did you have any like experiences early on where you really felt that like that power differential?
I think so. I mean, because after Kelly's, you know, I worked at more corporate architecture firms, and so I did a lot of like corporate jobs, you know, so you're working with like businessmen and law firms and finance companies and, you know, these really big corporations. So I think you have to have the confidence, right, to really feel like you should be part of that room. Yeah. You know, so with that, you have to know yourself. Yeah. You know, you can't just, you know, wing it. You know, so I think I took a lot of time understanding my craft in terms from the technical aspect of it, and also just really working hard to make sure like I knew what I was doing. Yeah. They
don't really like prepare you for that, you know, like in school.
They don't. I don't think so, because I think, you know, I was really fortunate at the first architecture firm I worked at. One of my bosses, who's one of the principals, we would do these like mock presentations. Oh. And you would have to like, I don't know, just present anything. Okay. You know, so there was always like these practice runs of like, okay, we're going to go into this presentation, and he'll just call people randomly, you know.
That's interesting.
And so I thought that was really great. You know, of course, at the time you're like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. But I think it was super helpful. And I also, you know, I worked for another firm, and my boss at that time would just like randomly take people to interviews. Oh, you know, wow, yeah. Like to see how they're going to do in front of clients, and how, you know, it was just a way for them to like really see, okay, how is this person going to do? Yeah. You know? And I thought that was great, because I think that's part of our job. We have to sell our idea. Yeah. You know, or our solution. Yeah. You know, to whatever the design problem is.
Totally. Yeah. Is there something that like when you were first, whether it was when you were in school or when you were first like working for Kelly, that like there was something, his motorcycle outside. Was there something really early on that scared you, that was like something that you were really intimidated by, or that you were like, oh, well, like how am I going to get there, that now you look back on it and you're like, that was, you know, that was really silly for me to be so afraid of? Was it like going in front of a new client? Was it like interviews, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it's interesting. I felt like, I don't know, maybe it's just my personality, but I kind of looked at those opportunities like, oh, I'm going to learn from this. You know, so yes, I would go into and like, I don't know this client, how are they going to be? So they're definitely challenging clients, you know, but I think that's just you trying to navigate your interaction with people.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's always like that now. Like when you meet new people, you don't know how they're going to be.
Yeah.
So I think you have to really be good at reading how they are, the temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel now when you go to an interview? Are you like completely blasé or are you still?
No, I'm nervous all the time.
You are?
No, because I think you're nervous all the time, but I think I also try not to, and I try to read that person, you know, because you get the body language and how they are personality wise. So if they're like super energetic, then you have to kind of be in that mode. And if they're very reserved, then you kind of have to be in that sense. So I think I have a pretty good way of adjusting, right? Because I don't like, my personality, I don't like to be overwhelming to people. That's just not how I am. I like to read people and see how they are first, and then kind of go from there.
That's so interesting, not wanting to feel overwhelming. I have that exact same thing. I'm I'm very tall. I take up a lot of space in a room, and I talk a lot, and I'm kind of loud. So, but I worry sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh, am I starting to feel overwhelming to somebody, or am I feel like it intimidating or something to other people?
Yeah, I think maybe it's because going back to being in a corporate environment, there's that persona when you go into a boardroom.
Yeah.
So I think when you're used to reading the environment that you're in, you feel like, just for me, I just try to naturally but not forcefully adjust how I'm going to interact with that person. Right? And then as you get to know them, then it's just like dating somebody, right? I think it's the same thing. So you're not going full force away.
Yeah.
I think you just have to read that person and see how it goes.
So I want to talk to you about the AAPI Design Alliance and how that, what your career has looked like since being involved with it, and also the work that you do for it. Tell me more about that.
So APIDA, which is the acronym we kind of came up from, that you could say. So it, just a little bit of the background from it. It started in New York with some really great New York designers, and also the East Coast, like Young Ha, Just Davis, and a couple people who. The impetus of it was really to give awareness of Asian American designers in the industry, and to really elevate and celebrate what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think during that time was when there was a lot of Asian hate going on at this period. And
what year was that again? Sorry.
I think it was during COVID.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, there was just a lot of discussions about the things that's happening in the world at that time. And so one way to respond to that was why don't we showcase people of our ethnicities to see that we're doing all these great things, and I think a lot of it was just don't see a lot of Asian American designers in the press or in design magazines or anything. And so there's a lot of designers in the U.S., Asian designers that are doing amazing projects, but they're not being exposed as much as other designers. So I think that was one of the the drives to do that. And so I got involved when we were just talking with those other designers in New York, and we wanted to do a West Coast chapter.
Oh, cool.
And so Will, who runs the Showroom Collective Forum, he's a president for West Coast, and he brought me in, and there's a couple of us in our group that really, it was very organic actually that happened with the West Coast chapter. I think serendipitously the people that are involved really care about the community, and so we work tirelessly to create events and panels and just different types of things that, elevate, our exposure in the industry.
Well, what's fun too is that you're a young group full
Yeah.
of energy and
Yeah.
like really involved in our community as a
Yeah.
as a whole. So it took holds
Yeah,
here really well.
right. And I think it's also, it's not even just, oh, it's only Asian designers
Right.
that can be involved. I think it's, our whole thing is to, really be within the community. What's so great about Los Angeles is that we have a great design community. Everyone's super supportive of each other. So that is super helpful to create events, or, it's really easy for us to, I can call up Laurent and say, hey, do you want to do this? Or whatever, I think because people are just more open to do things together.
But we all support each other. I mean,
Yeah.
be it, Will obviously, and it's like all of us are just a big community, and
Yeah.
so it felt like your chapter just took the whole community and was
Yeah.
like, hey, here we are.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
really just opening it up, and so I think that
Yeah.
because you're a super successful chapter in the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because we're only like a year and something months old in the West
Really?
Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
we started
wow.
last year.
Okay.
We like our debut event was during Legends. We did a cocktail hour
yeah.
that really, again, super scrappy. Like did it in the last hour and got a couple people involved, but it was like super successful.
Wow. Yeah.
And so this past Legends we did a kind of a bigger soiree up at a rooftop bar, and we had a lot of people come too. So
That's
yeah.
really cool. That's
Yeah,
really
it's
cool. So
super-
how big has it grown in like the year and a half that it's
Gosh,
been in
I haven't
existence?
looked at the membership list,
Yeah.
but it has significantly grown because, I think our chapter really drove other cities. So like for West Coast, we carry Seattle and
Okay.
then, Hawaii and, all these different
Oh, all the way. Okay.
Yeah,
That makes
so
sense.
we're
Gotcha.
starting, like, we have a designer who is in LA who just moved to Hawaii, so she's
Okay.
gonna start up the Hawaii chapter.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, and part of it too, it's like not only is it the design community, but also we want to have engagement with local schools, like local design schools, and you do, collaborations with that as well. So.
And you did a great lecture at Legends at Will's.
Yeah.
And the chapter did a good one too. So I think it's just important because it's each of us, like, small, but really representing the whole design community and highlighting, everybody's cultures. I think it makes everybody better.
I think so. I mean, I think we have these discussions, right, about different cultures, and I think it's good that we have them, even if you have your own perspectives on it. I think it's always great to learn, right? You're always learning about other people, and I think that's part of what our goals are, is to just educate people of there's a lot of different types of Asian people, and so everyone's going to bring their own perspective of how they design, or how maybe their cultural background affects how they design, or maybe it doesn't, or things like that. So, I think it's great. I think it's just having the discussion is a great opportunity for people to learn about each other.
Do you think that it influences your design?
My culture?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe, because if I think about it, it's funny because I think about how I grew up, and, I wasn't born here, but I grew up most of my life here. But, I also went to the Philippines quite often, being here. And it probably influences me in a way of, like, really looking at texture or materiality, right? Because, like, if I think about, like, my grandmother's provincial house, there's, like, memories of, like, if I have to relate it to something here, it's very, like, organic, and maybe a little bit more of, like, an organic beach casita kind of vibe, right? And because in the Philippines, there's a lot of like Spanish influence and stuff like that, right? So there is a mixture of culture. So there's a mixture of like, there's Asian influence, there's inherent Filipino design, and then there's Spanish design, right? And so I think growing up seeing that without really thinking about it, I possibly think like maybe that's why I like mixing stuff all the time.
It would make sense because you do that
Right.
beautifully.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How you do.
So I think like I don't think about it in a sense of like that's how I design, you know. But I think looking back at two things that I remember, it does influence me. you know, or just being aware of it, you know, because I also did, you know, I grew up in a family that a lot of, like, my uncles were architects and engineers, and so I think in that sense I knew about design very early on. I was exposed to it, but not in a sense that that's what I'm gonna do, you know. So
when was it that you decided that that was definitely the path that you wanted to go down?
Well, it's funny because when I was younger, when I came here, my uncle that, my mom's brother, moved to the U.S. to study architecture and engineering. And so he was able to create a life here. He practiced architecture, you know, had the American dream, had like the nice white Georgian house with like the red Cadillac and like the whole thing, right? And so what was interesting is I just remember clearly like being at his house, because we ended up living next door to him, and I would go to his house after school and just remembering his house, which is, I don't know why I remember this, but it's like going into his house, super traditional, but then he had like very modernist furniture, you know, so he had like a, you know, Wasili chair and like a Mies van der Rohe dining setup, you know, in the dining room, and had like his white chipboard models of the houses that he was working on, you know, and he had a study with a drafting table and all his pens and all that stuff. So I think at that time when I was younger, I knew that I was going to do something artistic and creative, but I didn't know what, right? So I think from that time on, I knew I'm not really good at math and science, but I really love to draw and do painting. So I was always super interested in that. And, you know, after high school, I was going to go into fine art. You know, that was going to be my thing. I was going to move to New York and go to art school. And, you know, I went to New York, and for some reason it didn't feel right at that time. You know, I did the whole school visit and the whole thing. And I came back here, and I just felt like I'm just not ready. Like there's something that held me back. And so I went to community college and tried to figure it out, and still took arts classes, and at the same time took like fashion classes.
Oh yeah.
And so, you know, at first I'm like, okay, maybe I'm going to do the fashion thing, and then I ended up working at Kelly's office, and that's kind of where it really was like, okay, I think I'm going to go do architecture school.
Yeah, where it like clicked and locked in. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, because it was great that the office at that time, there was a lot of architects that, you know, were there, and I remember one of them really encouraged me, like, you know what, go study interior architecture. You know, it's going to really serve you well when you get out, because you're going to know both, and I did that. So
oh yeah.
Yeah.
You've been working with your husband, correct?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about what that experience is like. That's a broad question. I could narrow it down if you want. But if you have, like, combining the relationship and then also both of your niche interests, like, what is that? How does that feel? What does that look like? How did you get into it? Yeah. Tell me some more about that.
Well, you know, I think us working together, again, it was not planned.
Okay.
You know, during the recession, I think that was like 2008, 10, you know, that whole period of that time. Chris was working with an architect. He only practices like residential architecture, and so he worked for this one guy who was like, we don't have any new work coming in, so I'm just gonna downsize, but I'm gonna give you some of the projects you're working on, just take them on yourself, and so Chris was kind of like put in this position that I guess I'm starting my own thing,
Yeah.
And so he did, and at that time I was still doing corporate work, but then I was kind of getting burnt out, honestly. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do corporate work anymore, and then I started working with Jamie Bush, who's like a really good friend of mine. We met at Kelly's, and so at that time he was like, hey, I need help on some of the projects I'm working on. Do you want to help me out? And so started working with him, and then at the same time was helping Chris out on his projects, because he was getting projects that involved the interiors, like interior architecture, like meaning kitchens and all that stuff. And so I'm like, okay, I think I can do both, And so we did that for a little bit, and then it just got really busy, and then I started getting my own projects, from referrals. Just some corporate jobs started coming my way too, and so I'm like, okay, I guess we're gonna do our own thing, and so I think since then we've been working together, and stylistically, Chris and I are super different in a way of, like, obviously he really focuses on the architecture and the shell, but he's really good at interiors too. I mean, he can do not like the soft goods, but I think in terms of carving out spaces, planning a house, and he really designs from the inside and not the outside. And so I think that's what makes him a really good architect. So I think in that sense we work really well together because of his approach, because he's very considerate of how people inhabit the space.
Yeah.
Right? Of like how you're maneuvering into the home and all that. So it's very easy to work in that regard. Obviously, it's challenging when you're your life partner and your work partner. So I think in the very beginning it was super challenging because our styles were very different.
Okay.
He came from like very small firms, and I came from like that corporate structure. So there's always like a process, of how to do that. But I think it kind of worked itself out, at the end. Yeah.
It's really interesting because you talk a lot about art, right?
Yeah.
And all I know about you is, I mean, I would describe you as a designer who is an artist. And it's interesting that you did all that corporate. I can't imagine you in the corporate world because when I think about, your work, the different fabric and the different texture, and you're so involved with all the details that you do. It's like in terms of the fabric placement. And, I mean, we've done some work together that was really fun. And then you're talking about, because I mean, don't you see yourself as a pure artist when you do design?
I do, but I think it's so funny because some part of me, I'm like, oh, did I miss out on a lot of, spending so much time doing, corporate work? Sometimes I think about that and I'm like, but then at the same time, it gave me a lot. I think it gave me a lot of structure that I think a lot of people don't have. Because a lot of our job, yes, it's creative, but it's managing, right? You're managing a project to become beautiful, and to get there is not always pretty, right? Because you're always there's just a process. You're coordinating so many different trades. You're talking to 100 people. There's just so much stuff that has to happen that you need some kind of way to get there that's manageable, right? And so in that sense, I feel like you need some kind of taste of executing something super technical to understand that. Because I think what's hard, the misnomer of like being a designer is that you do all these pretty things, right?
Yeah.
But like to create a sofa, for example, you have to like dissect the sofa to get to the frame, and to get to the frame, you have to have an idea.
Yeah.
And the idea has to be put on paper and then structurally figured out with the person making it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't have that foresight to understand that. So I think if you have some background of how to get there, I think it's very helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
Definitely.
So, so yeah, it is funny.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I
But
get...
it's fun. I think it's fun because I like, you know, because I still do corporate work now.
Oh,
You know,
wow, okay.
I, you know, like I'm doing a finance headquarters on Wilshire.
Oh, okay.
And so I like the dichotomy of doing like a super fancy like residential project and then doing like a nice corporate office.
Yeah.
Because it allows my brain to like move around.
Yeah.
Like it's always doing something else.
Yeah.
And so I like that challenge.
Yeah.
You know?
We were speaking earlier about like having like a diverse amount
Yeah.
of things that you like
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
And because I come from a place where I'm very much a multi-hyphenate creative,
Yeah.
like what do you want to do?
Right.
Like what if you could have a dream project, like
Yeah.
what would it look like? What would it feel like?
Yeah.
What would it be?
I mean, I think what would blend the two things I like,
Yeah.
I'd probably do like a hotel or something.
Okay, yeah.
Right? Because
Have you done it?
I haven't
Not
done
yet?
Not yet. I mean, I've
Oh,
done a
wow.
hotel with Kelly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
but
But not myself. Like I would like to do that. That would be super fun.
you'd be perfect.
You know, because to do a hotel, you need to know all like the codes and all like the types of
Yeah.
fabrics you use
Yeah.
and stuff like that, you know. But that's always the fun part, right? To do things where you're being challenged.
That's
know.
really cool. I
Yeah.
would love to stay in a hotel that you
Thank
that
you.
you design. Like, oh, that's
Thank
so
you.
fun.
Thank
Well,
you.
that will be that. Put that in the universe.
Put that
It's
in the
out there.
universe,
It's
right?
out there.
Yeah.
Let's get, you know,
Yeah.
It's coming next.
Yeah.
I'm
coming next.
optimistic.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be totally fun.
That would be fun. Yeah. Totally love that.
Wow.
So I want to get to, we ask all of our guests
Okay.
3 questions. So the first question is, what is the messiest place in your home?
You know, I was thinking about that. And, you know, I think it's going to be my garage.
Oh,
for sure.
okay.
Because that's where you're just like always throwing things that you're just, trying to hide right away. So I would say our garage. And then the second one would probably be my daughter's room.
Okay.
But, you know, it's funny because I think about that and I'm like, I think that's okay that her room's messy because then she could do whatever she wants.
She's
Absolutely.
creative.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's fine.
Oh gosh, I like try to think if I had like when I was a little kid, like when
Yeah.
you were a kid
Yeah.
or like a teen,
Yeah.
like I would have my mom like yelling me to clean my room
Yeah.
all the time, but like I always
Yeah.
had my messes and that was
Yeah.
my mess.
Well,
Like,
see,
this
I
belongs to me.
didn't grow up having my own room. I always shared a room.
Yeah?
So that's why I was kind of like, well, I'm just going to let her be messy and have her own space, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What it like a gift to have your own space, yeah.
I know, right?
I think that's so good of you, because it's true that we have 5 and 6 and 7-year-old, and you're like clean your room, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, they're supposed to be messy a little
Yeah.
bit and creative and
Yeah.
play, and it's like have their own
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Well, it's funny because, like the rest of the house, she knows, like, not,
Right.
it's like, because she's kind of used to it, but it's like, in her own space, it's just like, it's
Cool.
not everyone.
Yeah. Okay, so where's your favorite place in your home?
Um,
Or also in a home that you've designed. You can pick either one. Like your favorite space that you've been to.
Well, okay, so the quick answer to our house is that we're kind of like, the cobbler with no shoes, who hasn't done their house yet.
Gotcha.
But what's interesting is like, I love being outside of like the backyard, even though it's not done, but the fact that I have an outdoor space that I can look out to the city is really awesome to me. Like,
Yeah.
I feel really great about that I can just look out and look at the view and, have that. So I think that would be the favorite part for me. For a client's house, one space we did was really great was we did a master or primary bedroom in a home that was really for the client who wanted something that's hers. So it was like a sanctuary So it was like wrapped in like pink silk wallpaper, and we put like a hanging daybed, by the window
wow,
in the bedroom. So just creating that kind of space was super magical and just extravagant, for someone to really have their own space to retreat to. I think that would be my most favorite space because it's so personal, right? To like go home and close the door and like use that space for rest or for just hanging out or being lazy on a Sunday with a newspaper and not do anything.
Yeah.
So.
It's funny. It's a question that I've never thought about, this question. But it's true that in a house now where, for example, the primary bathroom was not something that was really important for the longest time in architecture. Where now we're spending a lot more time, making that an appealing room with the. Do you feel like there's one room in a house that's more important than the other, or are they all? Because for some people, it's the kitchen.
Yeah. Right.
Isn't it funny that
it is?
It's so individual.
It is because you have it's part of you like learning about your client, right? Because there's going to be people who are like, oh, I don't cook. So it's like they just want the kitchen to look nice. And then the opposite is like, I cook all the time, so I need XYZ types of appliances. So, so I think that's part of the process of discovering what your client what their goals are.
Okay, third question.
Okay.
So when you walk into a home or into like you're meeting with a new client and you walk into their space, what is the first thing that you notice?
What is the first thing? Ooh, okay. In the house or them?
Either, actually. I was thinking the space, like when you walk into a new space, like how do you, not like judging in a negative way, but like how do you know whether or not, like, or how you feel in the space?
It's hard because I think, like I'm just trying to think of like a client right now or something. And I think you'll read like when you come into somebody's house, how busy they are.
Oh, interesting. Like what their energy level is?
Or like how busy the household is.
I see.
Right? Like you can come into a house if there's like lots of kids' shoes and like dogs running everywhere and there's like something off kilter, right? Then you know that that's like a busy household. Like there's always something going on. As opposed to like an entry that's like super done. There's like flowers on, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so that you can read how that person, potential client is, because it's about, that's your first impression.
Yeah.
But, and then the second thing is like how they greet you. Right?
Yeah.
I think it's,
whether they're like, welcome into my home, or just like, don't look at the mess.
Don't look at the mess, or people, what's that thing, or like, you can always read people's persona if they offer you a drink or not.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we offer you a water when you came in?
Laurent offered us a 3-course lunch.
A 3-course lunch. Yes, I think that's fine.
I think that's.
I think you're a fantastic host.
Here, it's there's always food and drinks. There will always be. I don't know about the rest, but there will be.
Care of.
Yeah.
We'll have food and drinks here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I think you just kind of go into any, I don't know, you meet new clients, you just don't know what you're gonna get. You know?
Yeah.
So you can't have like any preconceived notions of how it's gonna go.
Yeah, definitely.
Just be open.
Cool.
Yeah.
So just before we wrap up, I am very, very new to the design scene.
Okay.
And one of the reasons why we started this podcast was because I want to learn from people that have been doing it for a long time and who have a lot of experience. And so for someone who's brand new to interior design, what is a little piece of advice that you would give?
I think you have to be constantly curious and really really dive into it,
Yeah.
right? So I think if you have a passion for it, you're going to want to know so many different things about it.
Yeah.
So it can't be like a 9 to 5 thing. Like, I think you have to want to do things outside of that time that will enrich your eye and curiosity and educate yourself all the time. Yeah, I think you have to have that.
I love that. Like, curiosity is something that I feel like it has so much value.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you're actually curious about something, you meet something with curiosity rather than judgment first.
Yeah.
So, like, asking yourself why, asking how did that happen, or, like, what is the history behind that thing?
Yeah.
It's so valuable.
It's also funny because Edel, and I'll see your postings. So on Saturday, you went to an art gallery, you went to a museum, and then I look at it, and I'm like, there they go. And that's just, I mean, it's so good because we're in an industry where it never ends.
Yeah.
And you're like a perfect example of just meeting new people, learning about art and artists and makers, and it's just, you have to stay, because that's what's pleasing with our industry, is to learn all those things.
But I think it's like, like if you're a chef, right? You're like, if you wanted to learn about your craft, you're going to go eat at a different restaurant, or you're going to go look, I don't know, just learn about some other ways of cooking something. I don't know. I think
Find a new recipe. Yeah.
Find a new recipe, and, or whatever,
But I think the bottom line is that, which is what the podcast is about artists, and we're or at least creatives.
Yeah.
And I do believe that creatives are not, like, you cannot have a 9 to 5. You can't see, going
You can't
to,
have that mentality.
Yeah, you can be, because it is, as a creative, you have to be able to, you never know also when that information is going to come to you.
Sure.
When it's at an event where you go to an event and you meet someone that you learn a ton about, and that's because you just, went to that showroom, that suddenly you go to a showroom or an antique store or an art gallery, and they show you something that's just, you would have never seen anywhere, but by going there, and you learn, a ton. And so that's, curiosity is a beautiful thing, because it really is a key for, and I think it's key for any creatives. I mean, be it, culinary or design or fashion or, but it's beautifully said.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Sure, thank you.
So do you have something that you're working on right now that you want us to plug, or that you want to tell people about?
Oh. I mean, it's a great time. We're just working on a couple different homes right now that we're finishing up. That's exciting. And there's things that we're starting up. So
cool.
Oh, nice.
Nothing in particular, but just keep going.
Wonderful.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
And you're also busy with, the family and moving the office. So that was a summer.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
But it's exciting. Everything's.
I am so glad that you're willing to take some time out to sit with
Thank
us
you
today,
for
to have
having
lunch
me.
with us today.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.